everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to do a Tex Mex enchilada cornbread casserole. Not sure how it's going to turn out. I'm going to try it. I just think all the flavors would be really good together. I love cornbread. I'm going to spice it up a little bit. I'm going to use some cheese, also some green chilies. I've already got over here in the pan. This is leftover pulled pork that I smoked this past weekend. So let me give you a good look at that. The house already smells delicious. I could actually just take a fork and start eating that. But I've got it heating up here in the skillet. I love all those charred ends, and the skillet's putting a little bit more char on them. I'm gonna post my video, I'm not sure if I've already posted it, of smoking the pork shoulder out in the smoker. But to this, we're gonna add half of a sweet onion, just a white sweet onion. And I'm not gonna dice this really small. I like chunks. So I like to taste the flavors in here. The best thing is when I can eat something and I can taste the flavor and bite of everything in there instead of all being masked and put together. Get this chopped down a little bit. I'm gonna throw this onion in there, let it start softening up a little bit. I don't want it real crunchy. We'll just add that into the meat. Let it start getting the flavors together. Also, I'm going to put about a cup of green sweet bell pepper. Get that in there. Let's get that mixed around. I love the flavors of Tex-Mex, Mexican. I could literally eat Mexican food every night of the week. And Tex-Mex, the same. I'm going to probably top this with a little bit of salsa and sour cream. But first, we're just going to get the base together here. After we do that, I'm going to make a half version of my cornbread. I love cornbread. I was brought up on cornbread and beans. Grandpa always said if you're going to have cornbread, it can't be sweet cornbread. So there's no sugar in this. This is a real cornbread. I usually fill this whole skillet with the batter for the cornbread, throw it in the oven. But today we're going to just do half of it because the bottom is actually going to be a casserole, and I'm going to put the cornbread on top to just top it off. Okay. I'm also going to throw 1 can of corn. I got a feeling my skillet's just not going to be big enough. We're going to try, see how it turns out. And a can of black beans. Get rid of these. Let's get this all together. I'm just going to do a very thin layer over the top, kind of like a tortilla, but it's going to be cornbread. And this is quite a bit in this skillet. So we're going to see how that goes. I don't know if any of you guys have seen any of the other Mexican or the Tex-Mex recipes on my site. I try to do a lot of them. I know I'm brought up Southern cooking, but being down here in Florida, I went to a lot of Mexican restaurants and I just can't get enough of them. One of my best friends is from Mexico. She's always telling me about different recipes and sharing them with me. We literally fight for tacos. I tease her all the time. I gotta tell you, one time I'm at work with her. She comes in and she has baggy smock on. She literally whipped a breakfast taco out of her pocket. She had made it home, put it in her pocket to bring to work. I just stood there in amazement. I was like, seriously, you're gonna grab tacos out of your pocket? Where's mine? We will fight for tacos. I've taken things into work. We've made taco day. We've had enchiladas. We've had all kinds of different things. But today we're just going to see what we can throw together here at home and see how it turns out. I still do believe I might have too much in that skillet. We'll have to check that out a little later. I might take part of that out. We'll cut down the recipe a little bit. That's what happens when you're learning. I've never done this recipe. I'm just seeing what I can do with it. So I wanted to share it. So, yeah, that's a whole lot. Let me see what we can do here. You know what? I think I have enough here for 2 casseroles. I'm going to take part of this out. First, I do want to salt and pepper it to get some good flavors on it. So, what I'm going to do is what I do a lot of times with any kind of leftover meat, like the pulled pork. I did have another portion of it that I put in the freezer so I could have it for another time. This one I just want to use up real quick. So let me stir this around, get the flavors a little bit more. I'm actually going to season it all the way so it's all completely done. I've got a teaspoon of chili powder. I've got a teaspoon of smoked paprika that I'm going to add to this. I'm also going to put about a teaspoon of garlic powder, not garlic salt, garlic powder. And I'm going to put, to get some Mexican flavor, about a teaspoon of ground cumin in here as well. And I'm not going to add the tomato yet because I don't want to have to freeze that. If I end up freezing this, I probably will. And the tomato is not going to have real good texture. I'm going to use that whole tomato in it. Let me stir that around, get that mixed up. I'll be right back. I'm going to get part of this out of here and put it away for another day. Okay, I'm back. I took about half of it out. I'm going to put it in a container. I think I'll just freeze it. That way the next time I try this and do this recipe, all I have to just pull it out of the freezer and it's ready to go. And I can just make the fresh cornbread on top of it. Like I said, I didn't want to freeze it with the tomatoes. They're going to break down too much in the freezer. Clean this up a little bit. All right. Stir this around, get those tomatoes down in there and let them start breaking down. I've only got this in about medium-low heat because, like I said, the meat's already cooked. All we're really doing now is breaking down the tomatoes a little bit and warming up the beans and the corn. We're also going to be putting this in the oven. Let it get topped off in there so we don't have to cook it for a long time. Just need to keep everything in the skillet, which I'm not doing a very good job of now. Okay, let me give this a taste and see if the flavor, salt, pepper, everything's good. That's perfect. Okay, so now we're gonna work on the cornbread. I've never measured cornbread. My grandfather, Grandpa Cecil, taught me how to make cornbread, and Grandma Cordy, they used a big spoon. They would use 2 spoons of flour and then about 3 to 4 heaping teaspoons of cornmeal. I accidentally used a little bit too much flour one day and Grandpa scolded me and said we're making cornbread, not flour bread. So I've got 1 scoop in there and I'm gonna put 2 heaping scoops in there. Maybe a little bit more. And this is a self-rising cornmeal. I keep it, the bag looks a little battered up because I keep it in the freezer. I think it stays fresh longer. I'm gonna probably put that in with another bag that I have in there. And to the cornmeal, I'm gonna add a half a stick of butter. I'm gonna use 1 egg. And the egg's just gonna kind of bind it together. And sorry about that, I was not prepared, didn't have a towel to clean up with. Okay, to the cornbread, I'm going to add 1 can of mild green chilies. These are diced, they're not real spicy. I like real spicy, but today I'm not gonna do the cornbread real spicy. So I'm gonna put that in there. I'm going to add just a pinch. Let me show you there. It's about that much cumin. I just want to give it a little bit of flavor too in the cornbread. I'm going to add just a little bit of cayenne pepper, and I'll put some cayenne pepper over here too. Forgot about that earlier. And I'm going to use buttermilk. Always shake up your buttermilk when you get it out to use because a lot of the solids will settle and the milk fat down to the bottom and it'll be real watery on top. We want to make sure it's all the same. So we're going to put that in there. I'm going to put a little salt. Since I'm doing a spicy cornbread, I'll put some crushed black pepper in there. And we're going to bring this together. Make sure I crush that egg up. I've made so many pans of cornbread. This isn't actually my cornbread skillet. I have my grandma Cordy's cornbread skillet that she had, and I use it only for cornbread. I don't fry any chicken in it. I don't fry pork chops in it. I only put cornbread in it. Every time I make it, I turn it out. All I gotta do is turn it onto the cutting board and the cornbread falls out. It is so well seasoned. It's probably 75 years old, maybe even older. I also have my great grandmother, Bessie's, called her Mama. I have hers cast iron skillet, and that's my biscuit skillet when I don't use the flat iron skillet. And it's the same, I can almost see my reflection in that one. It's so seasoned so well. I'll do a tutorial one day if you have questions on how to season your skillets and keep them nice and fresh. Okay, so we got the cornmeal mixed up. Show you the consistency here. It's like a very thick batter, like maybe waffle batter. So we're gonna get that in stirred. Now I've got the chilies in there. I'm gonna put, I got Mexican cheese blend here. What is it? Monterey Jack, cheddar, and quesadilla cheeses. I've never heard of quesadilla cheeses, but okay. I'm gonna put about half a cup. Never put too much cheese, maybe a little bit more. I'm gonna stir that in there. Let me turn that down. Actually, I can turn that off because it's cooked. All we're gonna do now is add the cornbread, throw it in the oven for it to cook. If any of you have any ideas of things you think might work really well in this, add to it. I pretty much thought that was just about all we would need. So that's why I came up with that. But put it down in the comment section. I'm going to actually go back through. I'll write down everything that I put in here, and I'll put a link down in the bottom, put a link to it on my website. Also, I'll probably put the recipe down there so it's easier to find. So let me pull this. Oh, look at that. I got the right one today. We're going to do Tex Mex. We got chilies. So oven is heated to 400 degrees. I'm going to get my spatula. Usually when I make cornbread, I wouldn't be putting it in the skillet like it is now. I actually stick my cornbread skillet in the oven while it's heating up with some bacon fat or some Crisco, just enough to coat the bottom and almost to the sides. That way it's all heated up when I pour the batter in, and you'll see in my tutorial on cornbreads or video on cornbread, it actually fries the outside of the cornbread, and when you take it out, it's so crispy. Also helps keep it from sticking. So I got the batter ready. I am going to add some red pepper flakes just to the top there, and make sure I got some cheese down in there. And we're doing this, I'm going to put about another, actually I don't put the rest of that, it looks like about a cup. I'm going to mix that into there. I might be sorry for doing this. It's probably going to really sticky up my cast iron. But like I said, this is just something I wanted to try today, and this is how I do a lot of my recipes. You won't believe how many recipes you see on my website. They look great. You didn't see the 3 or 4 before that when I was making it. They just did not turn out well. Didn't taste right. So I had to redo them, and that might be what we do today. I don't think we'll have to, but I'm just gonna mash this all down here, get it nice and flat. And then I'm gonna top it with the cornbread. Get that in there. I do not waste cornbread. If I have too much batter, I'll grab it. I've got a little 6-inch and 4-inch skillets. I'll just make a small skillet to put in there, and that way I have the extra. So let me pull this aside. I hear Alexa telling me something that I ordered is coming in. I'm telling you, during this quarantine, I had so many so many Amazon boxes piled at the front door. I didn't have anything to do. I was cooking and shopping, so that's what I did. So there we go. I've got the cornbread batter in here. The oven's heated. I'm gonna stick it in there, and it's gonna probably take about 25 to 30 minutes. It's not gonna take as long as my normal cornbread would because it's about half the size of it. So we're gonna stick it in. As soon as it's done and ready to come out, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. You know what? I just call this an enchilada casserole, and while we were waiting for it to bake, I decided that since cornbread is kind of like masa, I was going to call it a tamale casserole. Since this is kind of like the masa dough around in a tamale, and I love tamales. So we've got this out. Let me give you a close up there. You can see the peppers and the cheese came bubbling through. So let's break it open and see what it looks like on the inside. Get a nice piece here outside. The smell of the cornbread mixed with the smell of that smoked pork shoulder is amazing. Get this, because I'm going to make a mess. I can almost guarantee you that I'm going to make a mess. There we go. Get that out. Oh wow, look at all that. That was me. Oh, I don't want to miss any of this stuff. Get this in there too, all the good cheesy filling. All right. Now we're going to top it with a little sour. Well, actually, let's do some salsa first. I'm cheating today. We use canned corn. We use canned beans. I'm using a jarred salsa instead of homemade salsa. But that's what it's all about some nights. You just don't feel like cooking. So you do what you can. We're going to add a little bit of daisy sour cream on top of here. A little bit of cilantro. And some of my pickled jalapenos. I didn't put them in it in case it made it too spicy, but I love jalapenos. I did these canned myself. I'll put that down and link also to the recipe so you can give it a try. Make this dish a little pretty on the sides. There's the sour cream trying to escape. So there you go. Let's see what this tastes like. It's gonna be hot. Oh wow, that cornbread is good. It's just like I said, it's like the mesa in the tamale. This is actually really good. You guys really need to try this. I'll put the recipe down below. I'll do the abbreviated version since I took half of this filling out that would fit in here, and I'll post it for you shortly. Talk to you soon. Thanks for coming to my kitchen.